This video is an instruction on how to use the rebar calculator in VCalc. Rebar stands for reinforcement bar, and it is a reference to the iron or steel bars that are laid in a mat in a grid form inside a concrete slab to add strength to it. This calculator has several functions that are very useful in this area. So what we'll do is we'll walk through them one by one. The first formula in the calculator, and again in VCalc all these are free. If you click on this button, this will tell you the length of the total length of the rebar needed in order to form a grid. So in this case you have to give the dimensions of the slab. So we're going to make our slab 24 feet, and again you can pick your different units, but we'll leave them in feet, but meters, centimeters, whatever you wish, yards. So our slab is 24 feet long, and we'll make it 18 feet wide. And then there are defaults for the spacing. We leave it at 18 inches, but you can override that. You can say I want that to be 16 inches, or again, whatever you wish. And again, you have chances to change the units. Then there is the inset, and that is the distance from the edge of the slab to the rebar grid. And then normally that would be enough in order to calculate the length. However, there is a couple other factors that are useful in advanced settings, and it has to do with the lapping. Rebar is often had to be extended past the dimensions of the delivered rebar. So if your slab is a great length, at some point they have to have lapping, and basically it's where one rebar will be lapped with another and then attached. And the length of that lapping is a function of the rebar size. So there's the lapping factor, 40 times, and then it's the diameter of the rebar that is used to determine the lapping size. The other factor here is the length of uncut rebar. Again, in the United States, typically rebar comes in 40 feet lengths, sometimes as much as 60 feet, unless you're in some other application that we're unaware of. But we've gone ahead and put in a baseline of 40 feet. So in this case, since our slab is less than 40 feet, there's no need to have cut and splice, lapped, if you will, rebar in your grid. So anyhow, the last part in this length factor is the number of mats. In this case, the default is 1, so it's 1 grid, 1 mat, if you will. But you can then say, no, actually we're going to have 2 mats, and it basically will come up with the calculation, basically doubles in this case, on how many additional mats you would need. So that is the length function within the rebar calculator. Very similar is the weight, so it asks for much of the same parameters. So again, we'll go ahead and put in 18 feet in this case by 24. And certainly we absolutely need to have the size then, because the size of the rebar dictates the size and the weight of it. So again, number 2 size is very thin, like a wire mesh, clear up to size 18, which is rather thick. So if we put in size 18, you'll see the weight is up here in 8,000 pounds. And again, you can convert to different units. You can literally say, what is that in US tons? So that's 4,000 or 4.1 tons. So a very useful function in this case. So this is the weight and length of rebar. So if you give it just a length of, so you could say not necessarily for a grid, but say you just wanted to know how much would 120 feet of size 9 rebar, it will tell you that would weigh 408 pounds. Then there is the form area. So this is the surface area of a concrete wall, another very functional and useful formula. So where you basically put in the height and the length and the width of the wall, and this will basically give you the, in essence, the amount of plywood you would need in order to create the form, either be it one side, two-sided, or 2 sides and the edge. So again, very useful in that case. Then there is the area of a slab, very simple, length times width. The volume of concrete in a slab, length times the width, and its depth. So there's that. And so we'll go ahead and do that. We'll say it's 12 feet by 14 feet, and we'll make it, in this case it defaults to inches, we'll make it a 8-inch deep slab. So it basically comes out in your volume units. You could do cubic yards. I'll tell you how many cubic yards, but also there are some units, it will tell you how many bags of concrete. This is based upon standard sizes in the United States. Your do-it-yourselfer will often need these calculations. So in this case, that person would need to buy 186 80-pound bags in order to get the adequate volume of concrete. So that's the volume. Then there's the weight, same kind of thing. It'll tell you the weight of the slab based upon the common mean density. So the weight of the concrete and the grid combined, similar function there. And then last but not least is the amount of rebar in an irregular shaped slab. So sometimes you can't, it's not necessarily a rectangular shaped slab. In this case, you may have a rough estimate of the area. So let's go in and say it's 120 square feet approximately. And we'll come in and say the perimeter is approximately, we'll make it 80 feet. And what this does is then it will come up with an approximation of the length of rebar or the weight of rebar, again, based upon the rebar size. So again, this is a rough estimating tool, and again, it lets you pick the number of mats, but it's fairly accurate unless it gets into a very highly irregular shape, but a very useful tool in that regard. So I hope you find VCalc's Rebar Calculator useful to you. If you have ideas of other calculators you wish, or if you have recommendations to these, and we have gotten some terrific recommendations for additions. That's why we added mats, that's why we put it in irregular shapes. From experts in the field, please do not hesitate to contact VCalc and ask. And the easiest way to do it is at the bottom of every VCalc screen is if we get down to it, contact us. You click on contact us and basically say, hey, I want to either report a problem or suggest an enhancement. And then fill out the form and give some information about you and how we can get back to you. And we will jump on it because we're always looking for subject matter experts to help us make VCalc even better. So again, thank you for listening to this video, and I hope you find this video and the Rebar Calculator at VCalc useful. Thank you.